Welcome to 6G Agenda. I'm Andrew, here again with my man Justin,
Yo,
and we talk about what they won't. Hopefully, you guys are just visiting us from our last episode and enjoyed it. It was, one of those you kind of needed the video on. It was definitely just a goof off kind of episode. Hopefully, people that were watching on YouTube seemed to enjoy it. We had a lot of comments on there. Shout out to, we had a new listener pull up. King, what was that? Here, pull it up, the YouTube. I forgot his name. Yeah, well, he came over from, I believe, Nephilim Death Squad. Welcome. But he gave us a good tip on
it was just spawning
an
out of
artist.
was it on the last episode? Yeah, it was.
Yep. Kingsway. Yeah, I knew it was Kingsway. Yeah, he gave us a good little artist to look up. I looked it up. It was pretty enlightening. You're right. That guy knew some stuff. Sarah Boston, as always. Hello. Thank you. Lots of good feedback. I agree with a lot of it. I think I even answered you on a few. So thank you for that. And yeah, like I said, welcome to some new listeners. Our last episode, we did pretty well on that one. People seem to have came through. I think because the name Mounds, and then we kind of shit on the idea of like a lot of things. So they were probably hoping for some fantastical sensationalism that we
Yeah,
don't serve here. You know?
maybe they were coming in thinking we were gonna be talking about the candy.
Oh yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, "Oh, mounds! I fucking love those things."
Almond joys, baby. You a Mound or almond joy guy?
Neither. They're both ass.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, not a huge fan. Whatever. Well, we are going to get into a series right now. Hopefully, you guys are excited to hear. We're going to get into a lot of MK Ultra stuff. If you know anything about it, then you know that it encompasses a whole lot of shit. And right now, what kind of prompted this was, well, we'll get into it. But the Montreal experiment, there's a court case going on right now, and his victim was of a CIA linked brainwashing experiment, and they are suing. And most of them are the children of the victims, but it looks like some people are going to be getting their beaks wet, get some money back, which they very well deserve. Because as we'll get into eventually, they had some crazy messed up shit happen to them. The reason why the CIA linked Montreal experiment even happened was because a lot of the unethical, illegal things they were doing here in the CIA, they were like, we got to move this
Yeah,
out of
they
the
were like,
country. We can't even
"Yo,
be doing.
what if we go to those guys up north? What if
Yeah,
we
they're like,
started
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
with those dudes?"
Yeah, they're like, I hear those dudes in Canada get down. So
Yeah.
they brought him up to the Allen Memorial Hospital, I believe it's called, and man, they handed him over to Ewan Cameron, and we'll get deep into everything he did. He, electrical shock, all the crazy shit. I mean, there's people that couldn't remember their whole life. There's people that were made into vegetables. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of crazy shit with that. But we're gonna lead our way into it because I think that this is not one of those topics you just skim across. So this led me into a deep dive. I hope you guys don't mind. We came a little late. Hope you had a little happy little holiday. I was taking that time to do some extra research for this series. So starting off, I think we'll kind of lay some context for the history and the start of MK Ultra. Get into the projects, Montreal experiment, etc. And then we'll get into the theories of modern day shit like Manchurian candidates, maybe the Minneapolis shooter, chemical mind control,
Yeah.
and etc. Theories like that. It's gonna be fun.
Do it.
But I don't think we just skip right into, the shit going on now without laying the context down. Because I mean, the telepathy tapes, dude, we gotta get into that as well. So it's gonna be a good time. Multiple episode series. Let's get into it. So to start off, in World War II, we've kind of talked about this before whenever we went over the Voice to Skull episode.
Mm,
Remember, Hitler and Himmler mainly. They
yeah.
were doing a lot of experiments on people, very similar to MK Ultra style experiments. And during the Nuremberg trials, the reason why I bring it up, there was an international law kind of made where you had to give consent or get consent from the patient, and they have to kind of know what's being done to them, all that shit.
Right.
And so obviously in the Montreal experiment, for instance, the reason why they're suing is because none of them knew. They didn't even know that they had been experimented on until about 20 years later when they started figuring it out from other people and,
Isn't that fucking
Community college.
wild, dude? You get experimented on so hard you don't even know you got experimented on.
Dude, he put them into electrical induced comas for weeks.
Yeah,
A lot of these people lost the ability to hold their bowels and their bladder. Like they
yeah.
just got incontinence. And yeah, I mean, he looked at that as like, okay, we're at the third stage of depatterning now.
He's
Like
like, oh, yeah,
he's
good
like,
stats,
good.
good
Yeah,
stats.
like that's good. Like, okay, you just hit that point, then we're good. We're almost there type
God
shit.
damn,
And
what a
it's
fucker, dude.
yeah, we'll get into that, dude, but it's crazy. I mean, I've been getting my mind blown reading about that. So yeah, after World War II, 1947, you get all these fun organizations start, the UN, all that fun shit. And there's a lot of compartmentalization going on within these organizations, like the CIA, which gets started after that, as well as the Mossad. And we all know our theory on those organizations. So you have, I believe in 1950, MK Ultra officially starts. It's called Project Bluebird. And we could pull up the document for Bluebird. But I do want to say that 2 years later, there's something called the Robertson Panel, which came out. And the Robertson Panel is UFO kind of 1947. You got to remember Roswell happened right after World War II. And then they had something called the Robertson Panel come out, which I believe is linked to MK Ultra, which is why we're bringing it up. And what it was where they pretty much said that UFOs were not a direct threat, but the public belief in UFOs was. And they recommended a debunking campaign using media, science, educators, and entertainment, to discourage public interest in UFOs. So you see where I'm getting with that.
Yeah.
There's a little crossover, I believe, in the propaganda and the mind control, because one of the main scientists that was involved with MK Ultra said that the target of this brain warfare is the minds of men, both on a collective and individual basis, aimed to condition the mind to react to impulses that are given to them from outside,
Right.
impulses that are sent in. And what it does is it gets rid of your free will and rationality. This is the goal of MK Ultra. So with that in mind, and thinking about the fact that the Robertson Panel came out in 1953, and I believe that the disclosure campaign right now is the opposite of what the Robertson Panel was, which is it's good, make them all believe in it, because then we can use it for our advantage for this new age kind of system we're creating, right?
Yeah.
It's genius. So we'll get it, because if you think about it, all the UFO shit is like they hypnotize people in the
Yeah.
fifth kind, and then they see stuff in their dreams. As we get into the MK Ultra studies, you'll see it's the exact same thing. So I think it's 100% just MK Ultra, the UFO movement.
Yeah. I'd believe it. I believe it.
Yeah. So in essence, it wasn't about finding the truth, but controlling belief systems to prevent panic and keep radar and air defense resources from being tied up with UFO reports. So MK Ultra, which launched the same year, 1953, technically 1950, 1951, it was, established on paper. But I believe that they actually convened a lot of their experiments and everything around 1953, which is just about the same time. And it was the CIA's flagship program on mind control, behavior modification, and chemical or psychological manipulation. The experiments ranged from LSD dosing to hypnosis, electroshock and sensory deprivation, and trauma-based conditioning.
Mm.
And I just want to sit on that for a minute. Their experiments range from LSD,
Yeah.
right? Ayahuasca, everybody's got to do, psychedelics. It's like a big thing in our culture.
Yes.
Hypnosis. I mean, dude, there's videos on YouTube you could go look at where there's like a spiral, like black and white fucking
Yeah.
spiral. You just go stare at it and shit. It's like people are used to just doing it for fun, right? Just the idea of it.
Right.
Electroshock, that's different, but one could theorize that the heavy metals in us, we have like electrotherapy that is more advanced, it's not shocking us, but it's doing other things to us,
Mm.
you know? Because I think that the electroshock therapy, as we'll talk about, was proven that it didn't do anything but just like torture the person
Yeah,
you're doing it to. That's all you're doing. I mean, yeah,
it does nothing but cause long-term damage.
right. But I think the theory behind electro something is still legit, right? So we
Sure.
got to kind of look at that a little objectively if you choose to. Sensory deprivation, like the sensory deprivation tank.
Mm.
I don't know. That's a weird one because like that gets pushed really heavy by the
A
same guy
lot of
pushing
these shits
psychedelics.
get pushed, like so not necessarily the LSD much anymore, but still you meet people they're like, "Oh, you got a trip." But the ayahuasca shit's pushed and the
Mm-hmm.
definitely the fucking sensory deprivation shit. They
Yeah,
push that like
hard.
crazy.
And again, the same guy. Yeah, not to point any fingers, but I think we all know. He pushes all that pretty heavy, and he
A
has
little
all the
bit.
people on. He has every person on that's like a part of these companies that are like tech companies that are taking over the
Yeah.
world. I mean, he's super connected to these people, bro. It's sad.
I don't know.
It
He's the
makes you
guy,
upset.
but it's hard to believe that like he couldn't be compromised, you know what I mean?
I mean, they believe that, yeah, exactly. And they believe that they're making the world a better place, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the common thread studying how to alter perception and behavior. And I would also insert creating a literal alter in somebody by separating or disassociating a person.
Mm.
But initially, this all started because of the Korea War, the paranoia of psychological warfare because of they were doing crazy shit over there, dude. They were brainwashing people. That's where the term came from.
Yeah.
Was like China and Korea, dude. They were over there brainwashing people. And so we got real worried because we didn't do any psychological warfare here in America. So we started only doing that, it feels like. It's like, dude, I think we've taken it to the next level.
That was one of those things where they saw China doing it and they were like, "No, fuck you. We can do that better. Check this
Right.
shit out."
Yeah, they wanted to stay ahead, dude. They did not want them to exploit mass psychology on Americans, which
Mhm.
I don't think it worked. I think if anything, somehow they're doing it to us too. I don't know.
Yeah.
It always ends up that way too. We'll kind of get into that later where it's like,
Yeah, so they didn't want China deploying mass manipulation on our people?
right.
Right. But
So we did it.
they're like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna do that ourselves. Fuck you
Right.
guys. You
And
don't get to do that to us."
you don't call my wife a bitch. I call my wife a bitch. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Like that kind of
Exactly.
shit. It's like, you fucking hate your brother or whatever, but somebody else says something to him, and now all of a sudden you're fight. That's fighting words for
Yep.
you. That's
Yep.
hilarious. Yeah. So where was that? Yeah, information control versus perception control was a pretty heavy part of the MK Ultra, and obviously the Robertson Panel. Again, we're talking about that as well, and how to control the mass belief in UFOs. And together they mapped out a two-tiered strategy. I mean, along with others, this was not just a two-faceted thing. I just
Mhm.
think this was one of the aspects. Population level narrative management and individual level behavioral engineering. But essentially, the panel explicitly recommended using mass media, movies, and cultural outlets.
Mhm.
War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
You had that radio. Remember the radio broadcast that was like after War of the Worlds came out in New Jersey? They had a radio broadcast and it was mysterious. Do you know about this?
I don't think so.
Dude, you should look up War of the Worlds radio broadcast. It has something to do War of is it War of the World? Yeah, War of the Worlds. Radio broadcast
Well, look at
because
that.
it's a yeah. So in 1938, Halloween radio adaptation, the H.G. Wells. Wait a minute. A real news report of a Martian invasion causing panic in some communities. The dramatization used simulated news bulletins and sound to create a realistic portrayal. So essentially, they played a huge prank on people over the radio.
Got your
But
ass.
no, I understand it predates the Robertson panel, but it seems like they started off, let's scare the shit out of these people.
Yeah.
And then they're like, wait a minute, this is a bad idea. People are getting a little too crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
public panic. Yeah, while not everyone had panicked, some listeners believed the country was under a deadly Martian attack, flooding emergency services and causing chaos in various communities.
Imagine
Crazy.
being like a 911 operator during that time, being like, "Ah, fuck, there's another fucking Martian call again.
Hmm.
They're not here. Trust me.
I think that this was an
Doing something."
experiment ran. I think this was an experiment ran to see how some people reacted versus others.
Mm,
And whenever you look into the MK Ultra Montreal experiment, they wanted to get rid of undesirable people, essentially. That was the thing. And the people they looked at as undesirable are people that looked at the world as if the world was messed up, or people that were schizophrenic, paranoid. And so one could say maybe they were trying to see, what kind of people freak out and what kind of people don't. And I
yeah.
believe that the people that freak out more often than not are the people that actually tend to think for themselves, flawed as they may be.
Right.
I think that that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that out there because I was like, that seems like a weird thing.
For sure. And yeah, I
There,
mean, we all do. It's just some more than others.
right. Yeah. The debunking of UFOs through the Robertson Panel recommendations could itself have serviced as a psychological operation, much like MK Ultra experiments, keeping the public focused on ridicule instead of inquiry. It works from both angles. Like I said, like now they flipped it around and there's an asteroid that's a mothership.
Yeah. It's got a McDonald's on there too, and so.
Yeah. So yeah, the Robertson panel, I just want to lay a little bit of a background with that. I'm pretty sure we got through the energy. Okay, yeah. Should we get into all right, let's get into it. From denial to narrative control. Because I did have that on here. I don't want to forget to go over it. So, like I said, I think it works in both ways. And the fear that the UFO belief would overwhelm radar defense is what kind of initiated, allegedly, uh, and triggered this Robertson panel.
Yeah.
But now the public has grown desensitized. Movies, sci-fi, and prior leaks soften the idea of UFOs. Instead of ridicule, the state can now use strategic ambiguity. And they acknowledge an unidentified phenomenon, but never resolve or prove it. Like they never actually come out with a smoking gun.
Yeah.
And this increases the control. Confusion is a tool. And that's what I've been getting at. A population stuck in are they real or not is easier to steer than one with a full final answer and firm belief.
Right.
And that, my friend, is something they do with a lot of things. So that's why I was like, man, that is you can't pass that up, dude. Cause I think that it's just all about like confuse your reality so that way you can then get your reality steered into the direction
Right.
that your controller wants. MK Ultra showed that confusion, dissonance, and fractured reality frames can make individuals more suggestible. That's confusion, dissonance, and fractured reality frames. I mean, that's a lot of shit right now.
Yeah, pretty much. That's like the
And
world at the moment.
the conspiracy movement especially.
Yeah.
I was definitely kind of like one of those. I wouldn't say like believe everything, but definitely didn't believe anything I read pretty much. And it got to the point where I was like, well, it's got to be. I started believing crazier shit. So I'm like, all right, well, there's always like some truth, you know what I mean? So you got to bring yourself home. Because I do
Yeah.
think everybody has that through their conspiracy journey where they're like kind of believing everything or believing nothing to the point where you got to find like some logic and balance.
Yeah, I'm trying to like I try to find a happy medium because there's a ton of shit that I see, but granted it's mainly on like X and shit. I'll look at it, I'm like, that's so fucking fake. I don't
Yeah.
buy that for a fucking minute. But then
I'm
there's
glad.
also some
Yeah.
stuff where it's like, yeah, okay, I believe that. I believe that
There's
every
something
second.
there.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you weren't like already like deep in your conspiracy ways, so that way, or at least like, you had your general, but like, yeah, because some people do, they believe in the UFO movement like it's a religion.
Yeah, man.
It's next level.
Dude, you never know. I could have turned out a flat earther.
Yeah, no shit. Well, there's a lot of those out there.
There's tons, but
I even thought that, because of all the lying that NASA has done, I was like, dude, that's the thing. That's the part where it's like, well, look at all of the lying that they've done. So it's got to be what the Bible said, the firmament. That's got to be like, that's the only people that told the truth or something. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like, no, I don't think that either. But now it is curious. I'm sure our listeners are probably thinking this. Werner von Braun did have that exact Bible verse on his tombstone.
yeah.
I believe it was Psalms 9 or something. But either way, it was under the firmament. That's where it was mentioned.
Mm.
And so that's kind of odd. People bring that up. And I don't know
And
how to explain. That's what used to make me believe in it too, where I was like, fuck, that's it.
yeah, this is
you know?
semi-related, but you know that motherfucker, Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
He was just on some live stream or whatever, I guess, and someone asked him if he'd ever been to Antarctica and like been
Yeah.
past the ice wall or seen past the ice wall, and he said, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, what did you see? What'd you like? What was back there?" And he was like, "I can't say on camera." I was like,
Dude.
"You fucker, dude. You
That's how
seen
you
some
know it's a
shit,
psyop. When
Beast
guys like
Mister."
that, nah, dude, when guys like that start doing that, that's how you know there's a psyop, dude, because there's a lot of people who have done great work to show who funds that guy.
Yeah,
And it's like Kai. It's like that Kai dude. The guy who had like, the dude that streams,
yeah,
Kai,
yeah, yeah,
Kai. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Funded by the same company,
Mm-hmm.
and they broke it down, but whatever. At the end of the day, dude, this guy, like, he's like, builds all these followers, and then he's like, I'll take the Neuralink from Elon. Come on, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
you know what I mean? And he's got a clear, yeah, it's clear what's going on there. But
He's been hacked.
I digress. Yeah. In the digital age, suppression is a lot harder. So civilian satellites, whistleblowers, and leaks mean total denial is not sustainable. And we know that our government is developing a lot of these crafts
Mm.
through their breakaway civilization and their parallel fucking development of technology.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even call it parallel. I would call it excelled parallel. It's way up there.
sure, yeah. Like 20 years from now, they're gonna come out with some crazy ass like starship, but
Yeah.
it's gonna have been built like yesterday.
Right. For real, dude. It's been around for 50 years. They're like,
Yeah,
oh, it's brand new, dude.
yeah.
We
Look at this
we
shit we've
just
never
made this.
used.
Yeah. Yeah. So the establishment moves to own the narrative, which we see a lot of, and that's what the alternative media is for,
Mm.
by leading disclosure. And they become the gatekeepers of mystery. So people like Stephen Greer, who are saying that, you can go meditate in the desert with me, contact in the desert. Look up contact in the desert so we can give a breakdown of what that is, because this is the type of shit I'm
This
talking about.
fucking dude.
Yeah, dude, he's got alleged Mossad ties,
Gosh,
Israel ties for sure. Contact in the desert. See if you can look that up so we can, because it'll give a little overview of that. It's literally a thing he does every year where you contact in the desert. Yeah. Okay, let's check this out because this is crazy shit. This is what I'm talking about with the because we'll get deeper into why I believe this, but I want to lay some context here. So think about the CIA documents that showed us astral projection. Remember that one? The one that was
mm,
like all about astral projection and leaving your body. That's, I believe, a psyop that comes from this MK Ultra to get you to disassociate. And the UFO movement is real major, big in that. And as we believed, these aren't aliens that we're contacting. These might be other things, and you're opening your soul up to something else.
yeah. I don't
So the
like that
contact in
guy.
the
He makes me feel uncomfortable.
who is that captain?
Ron Jennings.
That's hilarious. All right, dude. So wait a minute. Let's see if we could get a little breakdown of what this is. Together, we will all compare notes in a rare and wonderful way. I mean, how often do you get to? Okay, wait a minute. What is this?
This is Contact in the Desert Event Horizon. Now America's largest UFO and unexplained phenomena convention.
It's a convention of UFO unexplained phenomena. What they're supposed to do, I thought, is that they go sit and they try to connect with these entities by meditating. And he even has an app, by the way, that you could do it through the app. with binaural beats and all types of shit. So
This
what I'm
is
pointing out
like
is there's a clear parallel here with MK Ultra and UFO.
it's like conversations and shit.
Dude, yeah, we pulled up a
Yeah, look at
interview.
that.
We pulled up an interview article. I was hoping it would just give like a quick breakdown of like what it is, but they do it every year. Yeah, forget it, whatever. Yeah, so pretty much this guy's a big disinformation, we can get free energy. We need to, these ETs are here to save us, that kind of shit. That's what he believes.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Stephen Greer? Have you ever watched any of his stuff?
No.
Oh, really? Okay. I mean, yeah, he's been around for 30 years. This guy's been around a long time. He was a doctor in the ER, allegedly, but
Mm,
that was a very short amount of time, and then he dipped,
I think I have seen this dude a
went into
couple of times,
UFO.
but
Yeah. I
either
mean, he
way.
said he was briefing the president, but all he did was like wrote a letter to the White House. He's like, I was briefing the president.
Yeah,
That's like if I
briefing the
like,
president.
yeah, that's like if I like said something to Mr. Trump right now. I was like, I just briefed the president on what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like the equivalent. I mean, I'm sure he did a little bit more than that, but come on. So, smoke and mirrors. Maybe it's aliens, maybe it's not. Let's move on. So we'll kind of get more into after we go over the MK Ultra shit, more into the UFO side of this. But I just want to lay some background with the Robertson report,
Mm.
being that it was during the same year that they launched this and MK Ultra. So getting into Bluebird and Artichoke, which is the first project code names that they had for MK Ultra. Which one should we start with? Bluebird. All right, so Bluebird, so they submitted approval in 1950, April 5th, in this document for authorization and allocation of funds for Project Bluebird. Could you zoom in just a little bit?
Mm.
In view of the extreme sensitivity of this project and its covert nature, it is deemed advisable to submit this project directly to you rather than through the channel of projects review committee. So they skipped over the project's review committee, went straight to one person. They said knowledge of this project should be restricted to the absolute minimum number of persons. This project is now extremely important because of the expressions of interest in this type of program developed in various areas of the agency, aka interrogation mind control.
Mm-hmm.
It is most important that these varied interests be brought into a single project where appropriate controls can be exercised. This will avoid compromise of our techniques and interest in this field. It is requested that this project be approved and authorization granted for the necessary funds to set forth in the attack. Okay, so let's go down a little bit because they kind of get, I don't remember. Yeah. Okay. The purpose of this project is to provide for the immediate establishment of interrogation teams for the operational support of the CSO and OPC activities, essentially the military. The teams will utilize the polygraph, drugs, and hypnotism to attain the greatest results in interrogation techniques. It is important that this project be established inasmuch as a considerable public and government interest has recently developed in the use of hypnotism for the interrogation and for the personality control purposes. Personality control purposes, that's important because they're mostly just talking about interrogation, which I believe is to get the funds allocated, but this is still a slight whitewashing of what they intended to do,
Mm-hmm.
if you ask me. Because what they asked for was all kinds of crazy shit. But this interest stems from the recent spy trials in Hungary and other satellite countries. Within a number of areas of CIA, there has developed considerable interest in the field of hypnotism, and one of the basic purposes of this program is to bring all such interests within the purview and control of a single project. So essentially, they're just saying, like, look, we can't tell anybody. We need one project, and it's highly specialized, and untrained personnel should not attempt to apply the techniques of hypnotism under any circumstances. So this is highly trained, highly compartmentalized. Only a few people were involved. So when people are like, "Oh, how do you get away with like not talking about this?" Well, it's the CIA, and they only a few people in the CIA knew about it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So this is as compartmentalized as it gets. So they used a psychiatrist, which is why we kind of talk about psychiatry being sus, and a polygraph hypnotist and a technician.
This is
All
so
right. Well,
crazy.
yeah, it's nuts. So I want to see. I don't want to read. Obviously, we're not going to read the whole thing. Um, let's go to. So that just lays down. Okay, here we go. Operational control, security team. So this just lays down what they want. We can go over to the other one document.
Okay. Yeah, all training of team personnel and polygraph drugs, interrogation, and hypnotism will be conducted by INSS.
Uh-huh. Which I believe was, I don't know what that was. INSS. This is like wild shit. Yeah, there's the money they got. $65,000 initially was how much they got, which we're talking 1940 money or whatever.
Yeah.
1950 money. Here we got, yeah, 65,000
Yeah,
again.
it's just
Yeah, so let's go over to Bluebird, or Artichoke rather.
there goes artichoke.
Artichoke is what it changed over to, and this was in 1970s. So there was an inquiry made about this project, right? And all the documents, most of them in 1975, 1976, all the documents got like thrown out, right?
Mm,
And there was only a few there to like go over. And the ones that were there are the ones we know about that we've even talked about on the show, and they're fucked up. So
yeah.
who knows what they got rid of? You know what I'm saying? So it's deep, and I'm sure they compartmentalized again in 1970s. So this was done under the Rockefeller. Was it the Rockefeller uh, investigations? In conducting an overall review of the agency's records, controls, schedules, they pretty much found all this stuff. Project Artichoke got revealed, and it was further ascertained that unlike most those materials stored within the agency's retired records, those located at the security office. Okay, whatever. That doesn't even matter. Okay, so they found all the documents, and then the review of the newly discovered materials failed to reveal any information which would contradict or change the scope of the information previously furnished to the investigating bodies. So, in other words, they had probable cause. Everything they found kind of proved that there was something there.
Yeah.
So, in essence, the newly discovered material contains working papers and file material that merely provides more detail than had previously been available. So, yeah, we could go down. This is probably, I just want to go over like what they found. Here we keep going. Oh, wait. Actually, that was it. Okay. Included within the collection are a number of classified memorandum studies and intelligence reports. I want to skip over the bullshit. The classified studies were produced by both the agency and Department of Defense. For example, there was a strategic medical significance of acid, LSD, and there are several U.S. Army studies on psychological warfare, as well as intelligence reports concerning foreign drug research, such as psychiatric research and Czechoslovakia. Oh, in Czechoslovakia, and the use of stimulants in the Soviet armed forces. So they used a lot of drugs to fuck with these people's heads. And obviously, this one's just
Yeah.
kind of an overview of what they found and what they did. But as we get into the Montreal experiment, it really elaborates on what they were doing. So hypnosis was one of the main things. I want to see if there's anything crazy there. There are strong indications of the potential of hypnotism as an offensive and defensive aid. There are also indications of research and experimentation into disguised induction of hypnosis through mechanical means, like EKG. They left off the shocking machine,
Yep.
polygraph. Yeah,
Audio meter.
they even kind of left off a few things. Like they say etc., but the etc. is kind of like, I mean, there's some other things on there
Yeah,
that
they're
are
like,
bad.
similar devices.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about the ones that shock you. All right. Well, yeah, I don't want to like read this boring document the whole time. I just wanted to kind of lay out the fact that, all right, Artichoke and Bluebird was found. Under this same thing, you had a bunch of small projects that we'll be going over in depth. Montauk, which is what Stranger Things was kind of about, which will lead us into our telepathy tapes theory that I have. You also have the Montreal experiment, which is probably the first thing we'll get into after this. And then, of course, Stargate, the astral projection, which I think leads into UFOs. I think that all these little arms of these projects have their own way that they've manifested in our everyday life.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Pretty
nuts.
much, yeah. It's extended all the way back from the 50s all the way to
Right.
now.
And then I think you'll be able to understand why whenever Trump calls Project Stargate the AI thing that they're doing, Project Stargate, I get
Yeah.
really worried because I think that they're hardwiring the shit that they were doing then. And clearly we're going to show that they were using electronic devices to
Yeah.
do a lot of this stuff. And that's where shit gets crazy.
It gets fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, this episode's mainly just us kind of laying out most of this as we get into it. The next one's mainly going to be probably us getting into the Montreal experiment and Montauk, or even just the Montreal experiment, depending on how long it takes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what we could. I do want to mention the Minneapolis shooter while we're kind of wrapping up soon-ish. So yeah, the Minneapolis shooter. There's a few crazy details while we're kind of in the idea and realm of MK Ultra, because I definitely think there's something going on with this.
Mm.
The day that the Minneapolis shooter does what they did, he did whatever. Gideon was announced on the news. Gideon is a software that's coming out of Israel. It's a company software that is what we've kind of talked about before. It's predictive policing software, yeah. So you could go to the news. Yeah, go to the news because they came on to it the day that it happened. What do you type? Gideon AI?
Mm.
Yeah, just do Gideon Minneapolis shooter. Because they were on Fox News. Yeah, I see it Fox News there, but yeah, Fox News would have worked, but whatever, yeah. Because they pretty much were like, we have the technology to keep this from happening. Paws on the ground, covered dog, Catholic school break. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, these
I'll
are
have to
fucking terrible.
whatever. Sorry, guys. We're trying to see if we can find it. I know it was on Fox News, but whatever. Gideon Software. We're doing this shit, guys. Gideon Software. And on the news, they had I bet you Reddit had it. Oh my god, I think Reddit had it, dude. They were like, "Oh, look at this shit coming." Reddit's always the one that comes through clutch. Look, there
Oh,
it
yeah, there
is.
you go.
Dude, Reddit always has what we can't find. So here we go. Sorry guys for that little wait. But this is important. This was announced the day that this happened, and tell me this isn't why it happened, or at least part of it.
Correct. I am now about to launch Gideon, America's first ever AI threat detection platform built specifically for law enforcement. It scrapes the internet 24/7 using an Israeli grade
threat detection software for the law enforcement, Israeli
ontology to pull specific
Wait,
threat language and then
Israeli
the internet
grade?
24/7 using
Specific
an
threat
Israeli grade
language.
ontology to pull specific
Wait, what
24/7 using an Israeli grade ontology to
Ontology,
pull
okay.
specific threat language and then routes it to local law enforcement. It's a 24/7 detective. It never sleeps, and it's going to get us in front of these attacks.
Would it have
It's going to get us in
picked
front
up on
of
this,
your
One
bedside,
Get
and I'm going to pull
fucked.
you out of your bed in the middle of the night, and we're going to take you out of your home for something you didn't even do yet.
Dude, this is the shit we be talking about. And they're like,
That's the
oh,
shit I'm talking about.
they're not gonna come get us. We have one fucking bad conversation. We get abducted.
We have bad conversations twice a week, Justin.
That's what I'm saying, dude. We have a bad conversation. Dude, one day you're just gonna see two arms fucking snatch us away.
Dude, somebody posted something about I put on Twitter. Somebody said something about I forgot what they said, but I was like, yeah, they're gonna come to your house in the middle of the night while it's on a holiday. You know what I mean? Like they'll do it on a fucking evening after a holiday. You
Yeah.
know, everybody's drunk in bed, fucking
Dude,
everybody's home.
they're gonna tie it to the radiator and grape you in the mouth.
Yeah, dude. They're gonna remember old boy that had the chain tied around the tree and drove off.
Oh yeah,
Crazy. That's the
dude.
type of shit
That
that's gonna
fucking
happen
guy.
to you. That's the shit that'll happen to you. So
Yeah.
this shooter right here said that he was brainwashed or she was brainwashed, the Minneapolis shooter, and also said that they wish they never transitioned. Now, probably meant I was brainwashed into transitioning. I'll give you that, but also chemical brainwashing, I believe, is real, especially whenever you're taking these hormone replacements.
Yeah.
And I think something happens. I think that's the purpose of it. I think they're hitting us from a few different angles. This is one of them. I think the autistic children may be on purpose.
Yeah.
We'll get into that, but
I mean, it's just like
yeah,
the dude that attempted the assassination on Trump. He looked like a weird little lady boy.
yeah, dude, they always do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, there was another guy. I don't even know if it has anything to do with this, but there was a weird symbol she had, and this other dude had the same symbol on his shirt. And this guy was he dressed as a woman to get away.
Hmm.
It was like some weird, And he's
Yeah.
a part of. They kind of looked the same kind of like vibe, He had the same kind of vibe, like new alternative, whatever you want to call that
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something there for sure. Also, let's take into context Aaron Alexis, which we have a tab here that we could pull up. This guy said he was hearing voices through the wall, and he wrote he didn't want to kill anybody, and he wrote, but he ended up writing on his gun, "This is my dark elf." Elf could be electromagnetic low frequency wave, which is the type of technology that would be used in the voice to skull technology. And this ties directly in with MK Ultra voice to skull that goes all the way back to the 30s. Very crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's very, very possible. Maybe. I mean, I'm not saying it did happen, but how many coincidences is there? How about this other guy? He was in an amusement park, came fully prepared to commit a atrocious killing at the Colorado. I don't know what it's called. Some amusement park in
The
Colorado.
Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park.
Yep.
Glenwood Springs, Colorado.
I guess this was around 2023, correct?
That's what it says, yeah.
Yep. He writes on the wall, "I'm not a killer," and then kills himself. And so, he also says, "I just want to get into the caves," and that one kind of throws you off, where you're like, did somebody add that afterwards?
Yeah,
like, I just want to get into the caves.
let me add to this message here.
Yeah, they're like, let's just add that so we could discredit what this guy said. But he said, "I'm not a killer." It's very possible he was fighting. Now, we could call this schizophrenia, or we could, I mean, there could be something else going on.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't it kind of convenient that we have something called schizophrenia where you hear voices and we also have the technology to do that?
Yeah. And
So then what? What do you
I
do
keep
with that?
thinking about the acid shit, dude. If they give someone acid who's never done acid, they might think they're on like some fucking weird shit's happening to them. They're not gonna think they're on drugs. They're gonna think
Oh,
they're
yeah.
dying,
They lost their mind.
or they think they're gonna like some fucking entity is now talking to them. They hear some shit and they're like, "Yo, I gotta go in those caves. Let
Yeah.
me get in those caves. I'm not a killer, but I'm gonna
Yep.
take all this. I'm gonna take this armory with me, but I just want to get in those caves."
I know it's like the opposite of enlightenment. Like, Plato in the cave. The whole idea is like, you're stuck in the cave, and your
Yeah.
cave is your mind, where you're stuck in this prison of a mind, and you have
Yeah,
to
dude.
open it up. And this guy's the opposite. He's like, "Oh, I want to go do
He's
that
like, dude, my
instead.
mind is way too open. I need to get in there.
Close that motherfucker up.
Yeah,
Lock
dude.
the key and throw it away." So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird shit. I mean, Bill Cooper mentioned that there was going to be silent weapons used, that there was covert silent weapons that they had that they could use on people to control them and get them to do things even against their will. And again, that guy, he's a fucking oracle, he just knew things.
Yeah.
So, yes. Also, you mentioned the acid, and we talked ayahuasca earlier. That little deity you see, you know what I mean? Like, maybe that's Lilith, because maybe it's not Mother Gaia, but it's Lilith, the serpent woman. Lilith, ayahuasca. See if you can see if it's an ayahuasca relation. Who knows, dude? Go for it. AWAS. I think it's AYAHUA. That's a wild way to spell it. So yeah, dude, who knows? Lilith was, she was the chick in Diablo.
Yeah, she was.
That's who they used in the newest Diablo was her. They say that she was, I believe the first one made was Lilith, and then she like went against everything or something. Like Adam and Lilith were like the first maid, like his first wife or whatever.
Mm.
And then yeah, so he ended up getting a new one made out of his rib.
Oh.
Who knows what the fuck that's supposed to mean? I don't know what kind of analogy that is.
Okay.
Like
What an
what? You
interesting
took a
guy.
rib out? Yeah. Well, that's a, what is that even? I mean, yeah, for real. Like, how can you believe in everything in the Bible and you hear a motherfucker had his rib taken out and the whole person got made off that shit?
Why'd he do that?
I guess it was made a part of him instead of the earth. Oh, that was what it was. She was made of the earth like he was. And then she rebelled. And so then God made Eve out of Adam. That's the whole deal. So
Interesting.
I'm not entirely sure what that, maybe it means that like they were both of the earth, so they were stuck, like they had to be of the earth, but Adam was half of the earth and half made by God, where, you know what I mean? So he had to have somebody made out of him and God, otherwise it would be too much earthly, you know.
Yeah.
In other words, it might be an analogy for animalistic tendencies. I mean, we may have cracked the code on that, dude.
Shit.
Dude, we may have just worked that one out, Justin.
Just real quick, just randomly.
Real quick, bro. We just bust that little shit out. What you mean? Anyway, dude, yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of MK Ultra going on. We're gonna get deep into the other projects. A lot of it is gonna be really fun, real crazy shit. Astral projection, the whole thing. We're gonna connect it all to current psyops we believe are going on now, and see where it takes us. You know, we got a lot to do.
Some shit that may not sound entirely like it'd be a fucking real thing, but it's also makes you go, that shit sounds fucking weird, dog. Is it?
I mean,
true?
remember as we go through this, it's the subtlety. These people didn't even know they were being experimented on. It's the subtlety. Now, yes, they were put into comas, some of them, but even still, I think I would know that somebody was fucking with me, electroshock and all that. That's serious mind wiping shit right there.
Crazy
and I'm sorry,
shit.
but how many of you remember what you had for breakfast yesterday? So I'm just being honest, bro. We don't know what's being done on us, and let's just leave it at that.
Yep.
Hopefully y'all enjoyed that. We'll be seeing you later. Please stick around. If you're new, go check out some of our other episodes. We got a lot of bangers out there. We've been pumping shit out for a few months now. I think it's worth digressing into some of the old episodes, seeing what we got, because it lays good context to what we're talking about now, too. So we'll see you next time. Hopefully you guys have yourself a good day.